Hey you guys, it's Britt. Tonight I'm here to answer the questions that you guys left for me on my community page last week. So if you're interested in hearing answers to a whole lot of random questions, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so I'm not going to go in any particular order, just from the top down. I have these saved and we're going to just get into it. And I'm not going to be sharing usernames or anything like that. I feel a little weird about sharing usernames. So either way, I've tried to do better with not, you know, sharing subscribers' names and stuff. So whatever, that's irrelevant. But the first question is acknowledging that people have a right to have opinions. What type of opinions, if any, do you feel should not be shared on YouTube/social media? Always love the Q&A style vids, by the way. I love making these. They're a lot of fun, and I feel like it's a good way to know what you guys are curious about. So I appreciate, even if I get a couple of questions, I'm here for it. But as far as I think about this kind of stuff a lot with kind of freedom of speech versus knowing when to just not say anything. And one of my kind of biggest issues with people sharing their opinions is that if the opinion is being shared blatantly to bully or degrade someone, those would probably be better off left alone. Now, I understand that there are certain types of people that you'll come across on the internet that don't deserve to not be bullied. Specifically, I'm talking about child and animal abusers or anyone who would abuse, um, anyone, an elder, man, woman, child, animal. It's all the same for me. So there is that small percentage that I realize those people don't deserve the common decency of opinions being shared without it coming off as harsh or vile or cruel. But most of the time, the things that we're discussing on commentary channels or tea or drama channels, even if it's more serious in nature, there's still a way that those opinions can be shared without it being bullying and defamatory. That's a line that I've really tried to walk, and there's been a handful of times where I've gotten a little bit snarky with my commentary towards someone. But as we've talked about recently, there, in my opinion, there is a very clear definition between being a little snarky, a little sassy, versus just being a jerk and labeling it as being snarky or sassy. Most of the people that I support on YouTube, if they do get snarky, it's typically very lighthearted and not harmful or hurtful to the person that they're talking about. The other thing that I will say, along this same kind of topic, when it comes to opinions being kept offline, there's this very weird kind of thing that I've been seeing lately where people are bringing everything to their YouTube platform and they're exposing spouses, they're talking about their own children, they're talking about family members, and it's kind of taken this very awkward turn where YouTube isn't a place to just create content and vent and have some fun. For some people, it literally turns into their place to trauma dump everything that's going on in their life. Something that I think that most people are aware of, but they don't necessarily think of it very often. The internet is forever. So even if you're on a live stream and you're saying some stuff that you don't necessarily mean, maybe emotions are running high, if you're live streaming that, chances are, even if you're a small channel, at least one person is screen recording it, because people know that there's stuff put out and then deleted. And if you've built a community that is kind of watching the circus per se, then there will be people that are screen recording these types of things. That could definitely be a whole video on its own. But what I will say as far as opinions go is that if you're going to be an asshole, maybe it's better to just not say anything. And until you find the maturity level to be able to share those opinions without being a jerk about it, assuming that you're talking about someone that deserves the common decency and respect that most people, even if you disagree with their parenting or their lifestyle or a video that they made, there's still no reason to do a lot of what I see day to day on YouTube. Part of this question got cut off, but there will be more Q&As in the future. So I'm going to read what I have. And unfortunately, I already deleted the post on my community page, but that's totally my fault. The question says, I know that you have been bullied by people in the past, particularly at school. What would you say to them now? Would you forgive them? Did their words have a deep impact on you? What I would say to them now is probably not a whole lot of anything, because it's just been so long since those things happened, and I've done my best to kind of unload and separate myself from the situations that happened back then. As far as forgiving them, I would, just because me carrying the burden is not going to do anything for me in the long run. It's just going to make me really tired. And as far as their words having a deep impact on me, back then, yes, they did, because it was constantly belittling me for my personal appearance or my weight or the way that I talked or the way that I dressed. And in the moment, it's really hard as someone who's in like middle school or high school to withdraw yourself from the situation and tell yourself, this is short term. You're going to be out of here in a few years and none of this will matter. But as a kid, as a teenager, it's near impossible to be able to separate yourself from the situation. So back then, they definitely had a huge impact on me day to day. But as soon as I was done with school, I was able to kind of release all of that and, kind of move forward with my life. And it's just always so funny because the biggest bullies in school are usually the ones that turn out to not be doing a whole lot with their life. And, I don't mean that in a degrading way, but it's just kind of funny to see how things have turned out. I know a couple of these mean girls that I went to school with were actually involved in like MLMs, and it's just kind of like, okay, girl, like you were too cool for everything back then and wanted to be a mean girl, and look at you now selling doTERRA online. Okay, the next question is, she said, I love Q&As. Thank you for doing this. What's the best vacation spot you've ever taken, either alone or with someone else? That's the first question. I really had a ton of fun the very first time that I went to LA. That was actually the first time that I ever traveled completely by myself, and I was going there to visit a friend, but as far as the flight and everything else, I was by myself, and that was a lot of fun. When was that? I think that was in 2008 when I went for the first time. Even though I was nervous early on, I quickly got over that and realized, the potential that was to just have fun and not really worry about anything. So I had a ton of fun the very first time that I went out there. And the next question is, and as far as like a second place, it would be any childhood vacation that I took with my dad. Those were always really meaningful. But as far as like, in my adult life, it would definitely be my first time to LA. The next question she had is also, how long have you been with your boyfriend? Do you live together or apart? We do live together, and we have been together for 14 years. And I think the end part of her question, it got cut off, but I think she said something about, do we share Axel or anything, and that's kind of NA because we live together. And someone said, how old is Axel and did you adopt him? We did not adopt him. We got him from a breeder, and we picked him up when he was 8 weeks old. He actually, when we picked him up, it was actually on my birthday. So that was definitely a birthday that I will never forget. So he's actually going to be 6 this summer, and I can't believe he's already going to be 6, but he just the best dog. Y'all know how I feel about Axel. The next question is, why is it so difficult for YouTube to ban channels? I don't think that they care. I think that with these social media platforms, they care once it's too late. Instead of actually listening to people that are warning, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, instead of listening to those warnings, they wait until something really terrible happens and then they listen. And I will tell you guys, a good, I'm not going to say an Exhibit A example because it's not the best example, but if you guys remember last week, there was a man, I forget his name, I'll put it right here, but he was a YouTuber and he would actually do videos that were really, really disturbing, definitely against terms of service. And his channel was active, and I'm pretty sure that people probably had reported his channel. And he was still on YouTube. He was able to create videos documenting his journey to Brooklyn to carry out this really heinous act that could have been a major catastrophe. And it happened, and then YouTube closed his channel once the guy was arrested in Brooklyn for, I think they arrested him for, did they arrest him for? It was like terrorism or active terrorism or something like that. So super scary, but I think it's a combination of they don't care and they also wait until it's too late. And that's a fair example of it. Next question is, what are you the proudest of? I would say my career, just because I'm sure that some of you guys know, but I did not go to college. I did not graduate from college. So I got into the workforce with just high school experience. And so for me to kind of work my way up, starting in retail settings and then going to MAC Cosmetics, and then my journey out of MAC into working for, I did a story time working for a nightmare dermatologist. That was really crazy. And then I got into more of like an executive assistant role, and that's what I'm doing still now. But once I was able to make that transition and really start building up all of my experience and kind of, I worked for a few different companies so that I was able to build up my salary so that I could market myself with this salary and this much experience, and it really helped me a lot. And considering that I didn't go to college, I would say that that's definitely what I am most proud of. I was really scared when I decided that I wasn't going to go to college. It's scary. It's scary to think about that, and it's a really big decision to make, but I'm glad that it ended up working out, obviously. Someone asked, have you watched Cluttered Mother? I haven't, but I will note it and take a look. I'm assuming that they're on YouTube, but I will figure it out. The next question is it worth it as a small channel? Are there days you want to stop? It is worth it because YouTube is not my nest egg. I'm not, reliant upon YouTube to pay my bills. And it's a fun hobby for me that I am in I'm very grateful for the position that I'm in because I'm able to collect a small check once a month for the time that I put into my channel. But that's extra. That's not my nest egg, like I said. Now, so for me, it's worth it. I can't say that it's worth it for all small channels, but as far as days where I might have wanted to quit, that's a good question. I have had some very hard days on this platform. If I will say this much, if I didn't have people that I trust to talk to, I might have taken a hiatus. I don't think that I would have just quit, but it can be very frustrating to feel like you thought you were doing the right thing. It turned out to be the wrong thing. People are really mad at you. People, can't stand your attitude. They don't like your channel. They're name calling. So it can get very frustrating. But in between knowing that I had a community that did like me, combined with being able to talk to people outside of YouTube, it really brought me through some of the hard days that I was having, especially like last year. Okay, the next question is, which family vlogger do you think are really the worst? For me, it's a toss-up between the Inghams, who sold a reborn replica of their child to every weirdo pedo that wanted one, and the Saucony Jolies for what they are forcing upon their child. I think there's a lot of them that are bad for miscellaneous reasons. Anna and Jonathan are definitely bad for what they're doing to E. But I also look at families like the Ace family that are constantly scamming and ripping off their subscribers and just greedy, money-hungry little pigs. But then I also look at a family like the LeBrants that are utilizing their platform to spread really dangerous information to young children that watch them. So I would say for me, it's between LeBrants, the Ace family, and Jonathan and Anna are definitely in there for what they're currently doing. There's just so many that are problematic, and there's so many that are not just using their kids. It goes so much deeper than that, and that's when I think of LeBrants and Ace family specifically, and they have such a long track record of doing the same thing. That's why it's even more frustrating, because you would think that once you do one thing, like faking that your house was broken into and utilizing your small child for a clickbaity thumbnail, you would think that that would have been enough to get them knocked down a few pegs, but it seemed to only make them more successful. Okay, so I got 2 questions about what I do for work, and like I said earlier, I'm in an executive assistant role. That is the most general way that I can describe it. I absolutely love my job right now, and I'm so grateful. Considering what led me up to this point, I am so grateful to be in the position that I'm in right now. Okay, next question is, are you still shopping for makeup? What's your favorites? I'm trying to kind of steer clear of new releases unless it's something that really grabs my attention. Most of the stuff that I'm buying is just to have a backup of something that I know and I love. Because there for a while I was trying new makeup, and I would have fails, and then I don't like, I feel terrible returning anything to Sephora because it creates waste. So, I would end up, if it was something that was in a package that, say it was like a tinted moisturizer that I could donate. So it ended up just costing me a lot of money, and I kind of went on this little journey of just buying stuff that I know and love. Someone asked about Self-Taught Beauty and her cat situation, so I'll link a video down below. I did that a couple days ago. Figured that it would be good to get that done immediately, which I did. And there are some overlapping questions, like someone else asked how long I've been with my boyfriend and do we live together, so I'm not gonna like double answer those because it's just gonna be very repetitive. The next question is, I want to hear more about Love Mig. I used to be a subscriber but have unsubscribed since she started to be so fake and more about materialistic stuff. I am a small YouTuber who is relatable and funny, and I plan to stay that way. Being relatable is what viewers like myself like. We do not need to see overdone up hair and makeup and the look what I have, we can't relate. This is why I talk about it all the time. I think that it's completely ridiculous, the unattainable lifestyle that's pushed out to subscribers, the way that these influencers will participate in flex culture once they start to see the money rolling in. It's just all way too much, and that's why I talk about it. And sometimes, do I sound like a broken record? Yes, I do. I fully admit that, obviously. But if I say something in more than one video and it becomes something that is echoed, it's probably because me, in my opinion, finds it to be toxic, problematic, something that should be talked about, because I want to be the opposite of an influencer. I want to be everything that is opposite of what they are. Someone also asked about a channel called Raising Autumn, so I will make a note of that and look into them as well. Someone said, what do you think of all of these popular documentaries about fraud and deception? Bad Vegan, Inventing Anna, etc. I'm so fascinated, but I don't know why. I tried to watch Bad Vegan and I kind of lost interest about halfway through. It just wasn't holding on to my attention like a lot of other kind of true crime documentary or docuseries will do for me. So I checked out. If you guys think that I should finish it, then leave a comment. But for me, yeah, I just kind of like checked out. It was not holding on to my attention. Okay, the next question is, I have a question, but it isn't juicy. Are you ever going to make some more makeup product reviews? You always look so chic. What is your secret to always looking so put together? When you get manicures, they're always so classy. Do you splurge on them or do them yourself? I'm a beauty junkie. I don't get manicures. I cannot spend money at a nail salon. I think it's a complete waste of money and time. So if I have something on my nails, it's because I did my nails at home. As far as makeup reviews, I can start doing a little bit more beauty content, but I will be honest, the more and more I talk about influencers, the less and less I enjoy the idea of putting beauty content onto my channel, just because that was the reason that I got away from beauty stuff. I didn't want to feel like a running advertisement, and every Get Ready With Me has 65 products listed in the description box, and you have to try this, and oh, this is coming out next month, you have to try that. I just didn't want my channel to become a commercial, but I do get requests quite often to do a little bit more beauty content. So I can pepper it in, but it's definitely not going to be on a consistent basis. It might be, very sporadic, and the videos will be formatted in a way where it's not just a 40-minute video plugging 72 products. And as far as my secret, I don't have any secrets. Here's the thing. I keep my style very simple, and there's some people that are like, oh, why are you always wearing black? You must be a witch. Why do you're not wearing any color? It's because I like it. It's simple. It's, black is timeless. No matter, you can have a shirt in 50 colors and the black one will be the one that stands the test of time. So I appreciate compliments saying that I always look put together, but I just try to keep things really simple. My haircut is simple, my wardrobe is simple, my jewelry is simple, and that's just what I feel best in. I don't like a bunch of crazy, colorful eyeshadow looks and insane outfits. That's just not my thing. It's never been my thing. So simplicity is coming off as put together, and I'm here for it. Okay, the next question. Do you have any stalkers or harassments? I hope not, but please share if you can. No YouTuber shares these things, and it's important to share the dark side of being an online personality too. No, I haven't, but I have had a couple of people take my kindness for weakness, and I talk to my subscribers in DMs. If y'all send me a question, I'm going to respond to it 9 times out of 10. And there were a couple of people that took my responses as a way to, it's kind of like it changed their expectations and what they wanted from me. It's a very interesting thing to see, because as soon as you don't reply in the manner that they want you to reply, things get very salty. And so that's something that I've had to kind of learn along the way, just to be cautious, be careful. I feel like now I just kind of have my antennas up. I think 2 or 3 or 4 times before sending a response or composing a response, because I really like talking to you guys, but I also know that out of every 1,000 people, there might be one who oversteps the bounds or asks me for some kind of weird request that I'm not comfortable with. Parasocial relationships are a real thing, and they can happen so quickly where the expectations in the other person's mind are something that is not even on your radar, and it makes them upset when they realize that things aren't going their way. It's very, very weird. I can do an updated video on parasocial relationships if you want. Just leave a comment down below. Someone asked if I will cover anti-MLM creators, but the question got cut off. So if you left that comment, can you leave it in the comments of this description or this video, and I will address it in a separate video. Anti-MLM stuff is very interesting. I am planning to do an updated video about talking about anti-MLM. Am I still anti-MLM? Kind of where's my stance? Because the anti-MLM community, it's done what a lot of other communities have also done, and unfortunately, when people think of anti-MLM, they think of really negative content being made, and that's just not the way that it should be. But unfortunately, there's a lot of content that is negative and toxic, and it gives the entire anti-MLM community a really bad name. So I'll leave it at that for now, but I will do a separate video. But whomever left this comment, if you can leave it again, then I can write it down and kind of work on things from there. This is a very long time subscriber of mine. She is so sweet. She said, I could literally answer a lot of these questions. Clearly, I'm a Brit OG. Here's my contribution. I feel like this is the year that you and your boyfriend will buy a house and Axel will get a sibling. So buying a house is not in the cards for a lot of people right now. So buying is definitely not going to happen for probably at least another 2 years. The market is just wild right now. But we are hoping to move this summer. And yes, I've always said, as soon as there's a yard, I would absolutely want to get Axel a sibling. So that is still in the works. We'll see. You guys will know as soon as I'm, as soon as I have good news, I will jump on my channel and share it. So fingers crossed, we will see. And her other question is, if you had to choose one true crime channel to follow and you could never watch another one, which channel would it be? Kendall Rae. The reason that I say Kendall Rae is because I think that she has a level of integrity that a lot of other true crime channels have some of, but they're not at the level that Kendall Rae is at. She works with victims' families. She will platform victims' family members to help share the story. She works with organizations that help victims. Her demeanor is really good. I could listen to her talk for a very long time. She knows how to deliver a sad set of circumstances in a digestible video format, which I really like. So if I had to pick one only, it would be Kendall Rae. Next question said, would you rather have an elephant-sized puppy or a puppy-sized elephant? Definitely a puppy-sized elephant, for sure. Next question, why do you think DCP bites the hand that feeds him? Because the man doesn't have any level of self-awareness. I've never quite seen, I'll put a post that APOC put right here. The guy literally has no self-awareness whatsoever. Zip, zero, nada. It is funny because influencers have very low or invisible levels of self-awareness. And he's exhibited so many times that he doesn't have any either. Someone else asked about my day job, and then someone else asked about me wearing black, which I went into earlier. And just to elaborate on that, my love for black clothing stemmed from my time at MAC Cosmetics. Everything had to be black, head to toe. Shoes, sweater, tank top, whatever it is that you were wearing, it had to be black. So I think that my initial love for black clothing definitely stemmed from my time there. What do you like to watch in your spare time when it's not research for a video? I'm going through reruns of my favorite shows and cannot find anyone new on YouTube. So just wondering if you had any recommendations. I do. So I have talked about Jessica Kent on my channel before. You guys go check out Jessica Kent's channel. She shares her entire life story. She had a baby while she was in prison. She was a drug dealer. She did time in prison, obviously, because she had a baby in prison. Obviously, she was there. I absolutely adore Jessica Kent. She's a really good storyteller, and her topics are always so interesting. If you guys are into beauty content, you should also subscribe to Dr. Dre. I really like her as well. I'll list a few in my description box for this video. Mr. Ballin is really amazing. He delivers scary, paranormal, true crime type stories in video format. He also has a podcast. I also listen to Dr. Grande. He does commentary on true crime stuff, pop culture stuff, and he'll share his stance as I think he's some kind of mental health clinician. I'm not sure, but he always brings an interesting kind of viewpoint to a lot of these really popular true crime cases that we always see all over the news and all over Netflix and stuff. So I'll link a few down below, but it is really hard to find YouTube channels that you feel like you really want to stick around. I don't know, like my subscription list is very short, all things considered, like how many channels there are on this platform. I feel like my subscription list is pretty short. Someone asked how I got into commentary, and I went into that earlier. Started with beauty, didn't like the commercialized aspect of constantly sharing all of these products. Let's be real, we don't need 99% of what the beauty industry puts out. So I didn't like that. I started to be interested in the beauty guru drama stuff, started to sprinkle that in, and then it moved over into commentary about just YouTubers as a whole. I focus a lot on family vlogger stuff now, but I will talk about any YouTuber, any influencer. I didn't want to put myself in a box, because once you put yourself in a box and you venture outside of that box, you can appear to be a hypocrite to some people, and I didn't want to run into that. So, I will talk about it all. Okay, someone asked the most hated YouTuber. I'd like to say that I don't actually hate anyone on YouTube, but I can tell you someone who I detest and I despise, and that is Self-Taught Beauty. Because as I said earlier, I don't have respect for animal abusers. And over the entire year and a half that I've been covering her off and on, I went from being a skeptic to realizing what was going on, to actually seeing that she is an animal abuser. And then I saw that people were excusing her behavior. So I would say that as far as despising someone, she would be the YouTuber that I despise the most. And now she's like totally run off the fucking internet, disappeared, and isn't answering for any of the shit that she did. Most loved YouTuber, again, I try to not throw the word love around, but as far as someone who I think has had integrity for a really long period of time, again, Kendall Rae comes to mind. I think that she just does really good stuff with her platform, and that's hard to see, and you can see a pattern of good behavior from her, which is also important. Ooh, the last one says, who do you think has been most wrong by Without a Crystal Ball? That's a really hard one to answer. probably some of the Duggar kids, just because she has said some things about the Duggar children that are just stomach turning. And you know, you're a grown woman literally speaking about these, you know, back then teenagers in this manner, and you feel good about yourself. Okay, someone asked for me to cover the FTC guidelines when it comes to influencers breaking those guidelines. I'm going to do a separate video on that because I think that it is a really interesting topic to talk about. So I will save that for a separate video, but I will make sure that I get it filmed in the next few days so that you guys aren't waiting. And someone asked about my setup. So my setup for filming is very easy. I have an 18-inch Neewer ring light. I will throw the Amazon thing right here, and it has a mount in the middle of it. And I have my mic, my little $12 mic. This is the same one that I use when I vlog in the car. It's been absolutely fantastic. And that's it. Very simple. It also, you know, I also wanted to keep things simple so that, you know, if I were to travel and want to film, it's not bringing an entire studio, you know, out and about. Like I can literally, my ring light has a bag and everything else can go into a small carry-on, which I really like. Someone asked my zodiac sign, and I am a Leo. And the next question is, how did you and your boyfriend meet? We actually met at work. We were working at the same company, and the rest is history. The next question says, tell us your guilty pleasure. Probably listening to some of the dramatic stuff that happens on the internet. I don't invest a lot of time or energy into it, but once in a while it can be a little entertaining just to kind of sit on the sidelines and observe some of this like fuckery nonsense that influencers get themselves involved in. Someone else asked for Katie Joy versus Emily D. Baker part 3. I can definitely do another video on that. I haven't looked in the last 48 hours to see what's been going on, but I can catch up real quick and do another video. And the last question says, what video or topic am I most excited to film? Anything commentary, anything reaction, influencer reaction, influencer commentary. It's just, I think what that does is it opens up such an interesting conversation. The conversations that can happen in my comment section are unlike what the exchanges would be if you tried to do that in an influencer comment section. Like, I am just here to see through the bullshit. I'm here to see through the nonsense, and we're here to talk about it. So you know, I appreciate you guys as always, but those are all the questions. I hope that I didn't cut any of these off. If I missed your question, leave it in the comments of this video and I will address those in my next Q&A. But for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.